Hey guys, Nomadic Rifleman here. So, quick background on who I am. I'm not Leo or anything like that. I have a military background, and it's so everything I talk about here, take it with a grain of salt. Think of me as just some dude talking about some issues I see and some of the crazy arguments over around the Breonna Taylor shooting. So, I'd like to address what we know roughly, because I'm not gonna. This isn't me delving into the details and the tiny aspects of this. I want to talk about the big picture. What are some problems that I've noticed and thought of through talking to others, people that don't think like me or necessarily live a lifestyle that I do, and some of the things that I've just had in my mind, and I'd like to see what other people think about it. So what we know is that for whatever reason, police entered the home of, or the residence of Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend. At some point in that raid, there was gunfire exchange between the police and her boyfriend. Now there are speculation that the police shot first. There's speculation that he shot first. We're not going to really focus on that. Use of force is use of force. It's nasty and it can be violent, or it is violent because it's literally use of violence. That's what force is. But things can get weird when it happens, right? Cool, got that. But that's not what we're going to talk about necessarily. What we're going to talk about is why and whether or not we as a society want to continue the actions we're taking on that. So, police entered the home or the residence of Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend. Now, there's speculation that maybe that they were involved in some drug stuff. That we'll touch on that in a minute. So, police enter the home. They may or may not have announced themselves. They got engaged Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who was not killed in the incident. And during that, somehow Breonna Taylor was killed in the incident. So let's just assume, because everything I've seen so far, unless there's something I'm missing, which there absolutely probably is, because I was not there and I'm not part of the investigation. I'm not on the ground there and I have no idea of anything. But so what I've seen so far, the most criminalizing thing I've seen is that they might have been involved in some drug stuff. So very well, maybe they were. Why does that, and again, this is a kind of an open-ended question, I'm curious, why as a society are we willing to go into a raid that has very likely outcomes of violence and death over someone selling or distributing narcotics? Because in my speculation, that unless they were engaged in something violent, and even if they were, honestly, why do we send people in to these situations where he could have been arrested while he was out and about? And then once he was arrested, why didn't they serve a search warrant on the home to get whatever paraphernalia or evidence they needed to get to criminalize him? I wholeheartedly believe that we as a society do need a SWAT element to our Leos. I think it's crucially important, but I think they're being massively misused right now to attack fringe elements of our society that aren't necessarily dangerous to anyone's individual liberty. Now, I do not agree with the lifestyle of drug workers or sex workers or people that are in gangs, but I'm also not in their shoes and I'm not living their life. So I'm not really in a position to cast a stone. I'm in a position to show love and to show compassion for these people and help guide them to what I would agree would be a better lifestyle under the guidance of Yah. So who am I to say that we should be using force against these people? And why are we spending all of these resources attacking these fringe elements of society that could be used to do what we would all agree, I hope, to be better use of resources? For example, the U.S. Marshals conducted some raids here recently where a bunch of kids were taken out of human trafficking rings. I think we can all agree that a better way to use that money, better than catching, processing, and housing someone that was, maybe they were bad, maybe they're just trying to get by. Wouldn't we all agree though that money could be better used housing and rehabilitating all these children that just went through some extremely traumatic stuff? Wouldn't that time on the ground for law enforcement be better used going after them? Why are we using all this time to go after drug rings that, if there isn't police violence involved, there might be violence between them, and we should go after that because that's just not how you conduct business in this country. If I was a car dealership and I went and killed some random other car dealership, that would not be okay in this society. We have methods of going after that. So if that is not the case, or if that is the case, we are all okay with us stopping that. Why are we treating these fringe lifestyles any differently than the mainstream lifestyles? Why are they not getting treated the same? If we as a society decide that we do need to take action on that, why are we taking action in a way that can result in death when we could easily take action using proper use of force to conduct felony stops and arrest them on the street and then conduct searches of the home? Why are we putting our law enforcement in situations where they can be forced into taking the lives of people that should have been processed under the color of law, or that otherwise could have been? Because maybe it's better to take the risk of him having a gun or knife on him and then apprehending him on the street than taking the risk of him being within easy access of actual fighting capabilities, and then your officers freaking out, missing him, and then killing his girlfriend. So I think as a society, we really ought to do everything we can to get past this division. Because if you're a law enforcement supporter, good. But the reality is that if you're going to support a soft warrior class in our society, we need to keep these people to a higher standard than your average person. How come a random civilian can handle themselves just fine and get through most incidents, but our law enforcement, on the whole, generally does a pretty good job? But why are they not questioning this? Why are they not looking at the massive use of resources that could be going towards stopping what all of society would agree are more vulnerable acts of actual violence? I don't know. I think all of this is fabricated to create division, because if we were all rallied around increasing the effectiveness of law enforcement to stop victimization of people, then I think we would all support that. But maybe we wouldn't. Maybe our republic really is doomed. But I believe this is all pretty artificial, and that if we all were able to reach out and talk to each other and treat each other as human beings, that we could have a much better society as a result. So, to recap, why are we using violence unnecessarily? Why aren't we using proper use of force to protect the prosecution of people under the law? And wouldn't it be better to take all this resources going around that and push it over to what I think we could all agree upon would be more realistic, or not realistic, but more appropriate use of resources? Maybe not. I don't know.